able to like fairly enforce laws like through punishment when like in America, you know, we have a really large prison population, and we've had this kind of policy of like zero tolerance and stricter punishments for people like since the Reagan era. But now we have like overcrowded prisons, and we have people that just go into prison and then they get out and then they're just back in again. And then you mentioned Norway, which they just had Breivik do that terrible massacre, and now people are saying like their maximum punishments are only 20 years and they don't have the death penalty, and now they're questioning their own punishments of laws. So how do you make punishments fair and enforceable that benefit the people that are in that situation and for the country?
I mean, the theory of punishment is very country specific, I would say, and because punishment is the expression of anger of society. Should be. How society feels offended by what you did, which was wrong. And then they punish you. In the simplest form, that's what punishment should be. It's the expression of our outrage over what you did to us, the country. And so, in other words, because it is an expression of national anger, it will vary over time within the same country and from country to country. So it's possible that in 5 years, in the United States, we'll stop being angry about minor drug violations. We will say, we don't want to punish those. It's possible. In 5 years, that's where we'll end up, because our sense of outrage has changed. And it's possible that in Norway, the sense of outrage over murder will change so that they think that they should have stronger punishment of that crime than what they have today in the books. In other words, the sense of punishment, of meeting the right punishment for the right crime, is a dynamic element of society. It changes within the same society and definitely across societies. So even in the US, I suspect we'll see some changes to these things because the sense of outrage, the sense of offense changes over time in any society.
First, I would like to thank you for giving us an excellent explanation about the rule of law.
Thank you.
And my question is that we all know that there is very strong companies from the Western country doing illegal business in coal. They're digging gold, diamond, anything they can. So what's the effort? There is any effort from the international rule of law to stop this kind of diamond or blood for diamond?
The OECD, the Organization of Economic Development, Economic Cooperation and Development, which put together most developed economies, did put out a treaty which has gone into effect like 20 years ago or so, which basically outlines what principles should be followed by these multinational corporations, at least with respect to corruption. That has served as the basis for the nascent body of rules, international law, that people would like to see applied to large corporations, multinationals. And most importantly, the OECD Treaty on Fighting Corruption has influenced the US laws on corruption, the Foreign Practice Corrupts Act, the FCPA, and the recently passed British Anti-Bribery Act, which is very, very tough. Now, these rules, the challenge with international rules is that you need international bodies to enforce them. Now, we don't have international courts enforcing these international rules, other than the International Criminal Court, which is a court for specific crimes, does not apply to economic crimes, or the International Court of Justice, which only tries states, does not try individuals. So we don't have international tribunals where we can sue these people. So the best hope we have against corporations that misbehave overseas is rules in developed countries that apply to their corporations And in the US, we have some of the toughest rules to apply to US companies doing business abroad. The US law on anti-corruption, the FCPA, will prosecute me if I, as a US person, were accused of bribing a governmental officer in the Congo in order to get a benefit from that governmental official. You can come sue me in the US. You can come sue a US corporation or even a foreign company that is registered in the US. You can sue them for paying corrupt bribery in the Congo. You can sue them in the Congo, in the US. And the SEC and the Department of Justice have been very strong in enforcing these rules. And I'm telling you, because I work with businesses every day, this is a serious, serious, serious deterrent on corporations. The US has a lead on that. Now, UK has just passed their own version of this, an even tougher version of this. So a British company that is caught corrupting foreign corporations can be sued in Britain. And they will have to pay heavy, heavy fines.
How does it work for the suer if the suer is not a rich corporation but might be a community someplace? In that particular set of laws, would their legal expenses be returned if...
What you do, you don't even have to sue them in court. You denounce them to the Department of Justice.
What I'm wondering is, in the United States, there's often a problem, and I know there has been, for example, with Alain Deneau, where corporations have a lot of money that they can defend themselves, or in the case of Alain, they're suing him for criticizing their conduct of their business in Congo. And of course, he's a professor, I think, and he doesn't have many resources to fight. So in the United States, one problem has been is that there's a big difference in resources, so that hurts you in the law, because you can't sue if you aren't rich.
I mean, if what you're alleging is corruption, all you have to do is denounce them to the Department of Justice.
You don't have to carry...
You don't have to carry the claim against them. So because the Department of Justice does the prosecuting.
Is that like the whistleblower, our internal whistleblower law? You don't have to carry the suit?
No. The Department of Justice, the SEC, will do the pursuing. Will do the pursuing. Where people have done the suing is when they are alleging human rights violations, like when the Ogonis sue Shell for alleged violations of human rights against the Ogoni tribes in Nigeria, and so forth. There is another law in the US, the Alien Tort Act, a very old law from the 19th century, that people try to use to base those claims, and it's a hit and miss type of prosecution. But the strongest disincentive for corruption has been the FCPA in the US and the British Anti-Bribery Act, which was passed, I think, a year or two ago. And if every other major country were to pass such laws, again, which are modeled after the OECD treaty, it would go a long ways into scaring off some of these companies from doing these things, because the fines can be steep and the reputation damage can be really, really bad to a corporation. And so there are some steps that at least the US and the UK have taken, which have played a good disincentive role against public corruption.
I'd like to ask a question, actually. What is your opinion for the prospects of developing the rule of law given the upcoming elections? So looking at what might happen in these elections, what prospect is there for the development of the rule of law?
Are you talking about the Congo elections?
Congo elections, November 28th.
I mean, I think that there is potential for some incremental changes. I'm not sure that we will get the kind of bold changes that are needed to bring real dramatic transformation of the system. Again, that's really what you need, bold changes, not little incremental marginal changes. We may get some of those. We'll probably get a little bit of incremental changes in the Congo from these elections. But whoever is elected, it doesn't change my assessment. But I doubt that the slate of people running will be good to give us bold changes. By bold change, I mean something like when Saakashvili, the president of Georgia, was still a Minister of Justice, I believe, before he became president. His country's traffic police was so bad, he fired all of them. Start over. That's bold change. That's what I'm talking about. So we won't get bold changes in the Congo. I don't mean to fire all police officers in the Congo, but you get the idea. Boldness. We won't get that in the Congo, not yet. I don't see anybody who will bring that kind of bold changes geared toward building strong institutions based on the rule of law.
You mentioned a brief article during the lecture, but I didn't catch the title. What was it again?
That is an article published in The Economist. And the title of it is, let me give it to you. It was published in 2008, in March. And the title is Economics and the Rule of Law, Order in the Jungle. Sure.
What kind of trigger do you think is needed to create these bold changes within the Congo? Because if they need to happen right away, I feel like something, something has to happen.
I think you need bold leadership. You need bold leadership to bring bold changes. You need a leader who understands the need for these bold transformations, and then who will take a set of bold measures to bring them about. It comes down to the individuals, the leaders, because you can choose to go incremental and take 100 years. You can choose to go bold and try to make change in 10 years. It depends on the leader.
Any other questions?
You talked about implementing a police system and another judicial system, but what about protecting women's rights, especially those who have been victims of rape and, now can't go back to their families or aren't accepted in their society and can't support themselves? How are they to trust a system that will most likely be led by men?
And a good judiciary, a solid rule of law environment should be able to provide for that as part of the normal provision of justice in the country. And whether they are suing the individuals who committed these things, or they are suing the state that failed to protect them, in a good judicial system, a good environment, redress should be possible within the same framework. And one thing you may want to note about Congolese women is that there are quite a few of them now rising up in the ranks of the legal bodies. I went to law school in the Congo, and many of my colleagues were women. And when I was there this year and last year, and I met many of them, either they are prosecutors, they are judges, or they are lawyers. They are the leaders of the women movement. They are women lawyers. Almost all the major leaders of women movement in Congo are jurists. So they've been trained in the law, they understand the law, and they speak their mind very well. So it's not hopeless to say that women in Congo don't have other women to champion their cause. There are, and they are quite doing well their work of defending women's rights. But they need strong institutions like everything else.
I would like to thank our speaker and thank all of you for coming out today. Very
Thank you.